Hello everyone. So today we are going to start with Maths Chapter 1, Rational Numbers. So I'm sure that by now your school might have finished this chapter, and it is an opportunity for all of us that we can learn this chapter all over again. And I'll try to clear each and every concept related with this chapter. Also, we'll do all the solved examples. So at the end of the chapter, if you're in the group, I will share this PDF with you, and you can solve all the textbook exercises. Then we'll do doubt solving. So let's begin. Rational numbers. Okay, so the chapter begins from certain concepts of types of numbers. What are natural numbers? So all the numbers starting from 1, the counting numbers, are known as natural numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. They go on up to infinity. The smallest natural number is 1, and the largest natural number is not known. It is infinite, right? Whole number. Whole number are just like natural number, except the fact that they have 0 in them. So whole numbers start from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all whole numbers. Then integer. Every whole number and negative of every natural number is an integer. So integers have all the negative numbers, 0, and all the positive numbers. So these are integers, right? It has negative, positive, as well as 0. Fractions. The numbers in the form of a by b, where a and b both are natural numbers, is called a fraction. 3 by 4, 4 by 3, 7 by 18, 18 by 7. These are all examples of fractions. And then comes rational numbers. Rational number is a number which is in the form of p by q, where p and q both are co-prime integers. P and Q both are co-prime integers, and Q is not equal to 0. So this is the definition of rational number. The first condition is P and Q should be co-prime integers. Co-prime means they should not have any common factor other than 1. They should be in the lowest form, right? And Q should not be equal to 0. That's the second important condition. So all the numbers satisfying these two conditions are known as rational numbers. In fact, the numbers which you just saw over here, natural number, whole number, integers, fractions, these are all part of rational numbers. Also decimals. Decimals are also part of rational numbers, right? So rational number is a number in which can be represented in the form of p by q, and p and q both are co-prime integers, and q is not equal to 0. Now we'll take some example of rational numbers. Minus 3 by 13, is it a rational number? Yes or no? Yes, because minus 3 and 13, or you can say 3 and 13, are co-prime integers. They don't have any common factors. They both are integers, and q, or denominator, or 13, is not equal to 0. So minus 3 by 13 is a rational number. 5 by 8, is it a rational number or not? Yes, it is a rational number. Why is it a rational number? Because p, that is numerator, and denominator, both are co-prime integers. They don't have any common factor, and they both are integers. And denominator is 8, which is not equal to 0. What about 4? Is it a rational number? Now some students will say, no sir, this is not a rational number because it is not in the form of p by q. There is no denominator. So if there is no denominator, the denominator does not become 0, right? You can write 4 as 4 by 1. And now is it a rational number? Yes, it is, because 4 and 1 are co-prime integers and 1 is not equal to 0. So 4 is a rational number. Like I just told you, every whole number or a natural number or an integer or a fraction or a decimal, all are rational numbers. What about 0? Is it a rational number? Again, you will say, sir, there is no denominator. I will say there is a denominator. Look closely. The denominator is 1. P and Q, both are co-prime integers. Q is not equal to 0, and that's why it's a rational number. 0, which is nothing but 0 by 1, is a rational number. What about minus 14 by 0? Is it a rational number? No, it's not a rational number. Why it's not a rational number? Because the denominator is 0. It can't be 0. Denominator should never be 0. So this is something about rational numbers, right? Let's go ahead. We talked about 0, right? Correct. What about 0.23? Is it a rational number? So 0.23 can be written as 23 upon 100. Now 23 and 100 both are co-prime integers, and denominator is 100, which is not equal to 0. So it is a rational number, 0.23. Like I told you, all decimals are also rational numbers. And they've said one more thing. Every non-terminating repeating decimal is a rational number. You know, like you can take an example of 0.33333, and it goes on and on and on. Have you seen such numbers? These numbers are known as non-terminating recurring decimals. Non-terminating recurring decimals. So these non-terminating recurring decimals are form of a rational number. You know why? You know what is this equal to? This is equal to 1 by 3. If you divide 1 by 3, you will get 0.33333. It will never end. And this can also be expressed in the form of P by Q, where P and Q both are co-prime integers, and the denominator is not equal to 0, and that's why it's a rational number. That's why this number is also a rational number. So all non-terminating recurring decimals are rational numbers. Okay, then rational numbers, more things about them. Positive rational numbers. A rational number is said to be positive if its numerator and denominator are either both positive or both negative. If they both are positive, then of course it will be a positive rational number. But if they both are negative, you can cut the negative sign, and again it becomes a positive rational number. Negative rational number is a number in which the numerator or denominator, one of them, are negative. They both have opposite sign, right? So that's a negative rational number. So suppose I have minus 2 by 3. I can write it as 2 by minus 3, or I can write it as minus of 2 by 3. It's all the same thing. They are all equal. So if I want to put an equal to sign between them, I can put. There is no problem. Minus 2 by 3 is equal to 2 by minus 3 is equal to minus of 2 by 3. They are all same. Some properties of rational number which they have discussed here. If P by Q is a rational number and M is a non-zero integer, then P by Q is equal to P into M upon Q into M. Okay, so if you multiply P by Q, that's any rational number, with the same numerator and denominator, or if you multiply a same number in the numerator and denominator of a rational number, the rational number still remains the same. Such rational numbers are called equivalent rational number. For example, I have a rational number minus 2 by 3. If I multiply 2 in the numerator and denominator, what will I get? Minus 4 by 6. Okay, if I multiply minus 3 in the numerator and denominator both, what will I get? 6 by minus 9. Okay, so minus 2 by 3, which is the original number, is equal to minus 4 by 6, which is obtained by multiplying 2 in the numerator as well as denominator, which is equal to 6 by minus 9, which is obtained by multiplying minus 3 in the numerator and denominator to the original number, right? So all these three numbers are equivalent. Why equivalent? Because if you cut them and bring them in the lowest terms, if you cut the denominator and numerator of the first and second and third fractions, then it will give you the original rational number, and that's why they are known as equivalent rational number. Second property, if p by q is a rational number and m is common divisor of p and q, then p by q can be written as p divided by m upon q divided by m. Suppose they have given the example of 24 upon 48. Now we can see that a number, let's take a random number. Okay, let's take a number 8. 8 divides 24 as well as 48. So if I write 24 upon 48 as 24 divided by 8 upon 48 divided by 8, it is not a problem. Still the answer will be equal to the original number, that is 28 by 48, 24 by 48, 24 by 8. What is 24 divided by 8? 3. What is 48 divided by 8? 6. Right? So 24 by 48 is nothing but 3 by 6. Or if I further divide it, it gives me 1 by 2. So they all are same. So if you divide the same number in the numerator and denominator, still it will give you equivalent rational numbers. If you multiply or divide the same number in the numerator and denominator, you get equivalent rational numbers. See the first example. Write 4 rational numbers equivalent to 2 by 5. So my number is 2 by 5. I have to write 4 rational numbers equivalent to 2 by 5. So first one will be 2 by 5 into 2 by 2, which is 4 by 10. Second one, 2 by 5 into minus 2 by minus 2, which is minus 4 by minus 10. Okay, third, 2 by 5 into 3 by 3, that is 6 by 15. Fourth, 2 by 5 into 5 by 5, which is 10 by 25. So these all 4 by 10, minus 4 by minus 10, 6 by 15, 10 by 25 are all equivalent to 2 by 5. So that's how you find equivalent rational numbers. Then a standard form of rational number. What is a standard form of rational number? This is important. A rational number p by q is said to be in standard form if p and q are integers having no common divisor other than 1. That means when p and q is expressed in the lowest terms such that p and q both becomes co-prime to each other, then they are said to be a rational, it is said to be a rational number in the standard form. Let's take an example, whatever they have given here, 48 by minus 84. So 48 by minus 84. Okay, so if you divide this by 2, what you will get here? 24. Here what you will get if you divide by 2? Minus 42. Again dividing by 2, you get 12, and here you get minus 21. Can you divide 12 and 21? Yes. 3 4s are and 3 minus 7s are. Can you divide 4 and 7 further? No. So 4 upon minus 7 is the final answer. So this is the rational number in standard form. Why standard form? Because 4 and 7 both are co-prime integers. They don't have any other common factor other than 1. That's why this rational number is in its lowest term or is said to be in its standard form. Okay. What about next? Comparison of rational numbers. Let's do some comparison. Minus 5 by 12. Okay, we'll solve it and understand. No need to read all these things. It's already there in your textbook, but I'll solve and show you. 9 by minus 24, minus 3 by 4, and 7 by 16. You have to arrange these 4 rational numbers in ascending order. Now, do you know what do you mean by ascending order? Do you know what do you mean by ascending order? Ascending order means the rational numbers must be arranged from small to big. Small to big. The smallest rational number will be written first and the biggest or the largest will be written at the end. So these four rational numbers have to be arranged in the form of ascending order. That is how you compare rational numbers. Ascending or descending. What is descending order? Big to small, right? So let's write it in ascending order. First, for writing them in ascending order, we will write them in such a way that the negative sign, if there is any negative sign, it should be written in the numerator. So they can be written as minus 5 by 12 or minus 9 by 24 or minus 3 by 4 and 7 by 16. So that's the first step. I brought the negative sign in the numerator. Second step, I will take LCM of all the denominators. So I have to take LCM of 12, 24, 4 and 16. Now if you're good at maths, you can take LCM orally, and I can see here the LCM is 48. 12 4s are 48, 24 2s are 48, 4 12s are 48 and 16 3s are 48. If you don't trust me, let's find the LCM and see. 12, 24, 4 and 16. You remember how to find LCM? I hope all of you know how to find LCM. First, we divide with the lowest prime factor. So this is the method of prime factorization for finding LCM. 2 6s are, 2 12s are, 2 2s are, 2 8s are. 2 3s are, 2 6s are, 2 1s are, 2 4s are. 3 cannot be divided by 2. 2 3s are, 1 cannot be divided, 2 2s are. 3 will be as it is, 1 will be as it is, 2 1s are. And 3 1s are, 3 1s are, 1 as it is, 1 as it is. That's it. So 2 2s are 4, 2s are 8, 2s are 16, 3s are 48. So LCM is, as I told you, LCM is 48. All right. So the next question is, what should I multiply with 12 to make it 48? 4s are, 12 4s are 48. What should I multiply with 24 to make it 48? 2s are, what should I multiply with 4 to make it 48? 12s, and what should I multiply with 16 to make it 48? 3s are. So this number which I have written in the denominator must be multiplied in the numerator as well as denominator. So minus 5 by 12 into 4 by 4, comma, minus 9 by 24 into 2 by 2, comma, minus 3 by 4 into 12 by 12, comma, 7 by 16 into 3 by 3. Okay, now I'm going to multiply the numerator. So it is minus 20 by 48 minus 18 by 48 minus 36 by 48 and 21 by 48. Now it's easy to arrange them in ascending order. So what is the ascending order? Which is the smallest one? I will write it first. The smallest one is minus 36 by 48. This is the smallest one. Which number is bigger than minus 36? Minus 20 by 48. After that, minus 18 by 48. After that, 21 by 48. So I have to write the original numbers in ascending order. So the smallest number is 36 by 48. That is the third number. And the third number in original question is minus 3 by 4. So minus 3 by 4. Smaller than 20 by 48. 20 by 48 is originally minus 5 by 12. Right? Smaller than 18 by 48. Minus 18 by 48 is originally 9 by minus 24. Smaller than the largest number, that is 21 by 48 or 7 by 16. Right? So this is how you arrange the given rational numbers in ascending or descending order, and this is how you compare rational numbers. So there is a good use of LCM over here. So be careful about finding LCM. If your concepts are not clear, I would request you to brush up your concept with the previous class, 7th class book, right? I hope everyone knows this is very simple concept, but still, if it is not clear, you should know that while taking LCM, you should always start with the smallest number, smallest prime number, prime factor, that is 2. and then if nothing is divisible by 2, then you should go to 3, and if it is nothing is divisible by 3, then you should go to 5, and so on. This is the concept behind taking LCM, and then you can compare it like how I have shown you. Okay, then comes representation of rational numbers on number line. Suppose I want to represent for some rational numbers. I'll just show you some random examples, not what they've given in the textbook. Suppose I want to represent 5 by 7 on number line. So first of all, I would like to ask you a few questions. Is 5 by 7 positive or negative? 5 by 7 is a positive number, right? So will it lie on the right side of 0? Suppose this is 0. So will it lie on the right side of 0 or on the left side of 0? Now I believe that all of you know what is a number line. On the right side of the 0, there are all positive numbers. So this 5 by 7 will definitely lie on the right side of 0. On the left side, there is -1, -2, -3, and so on. I'm not concerned with the left side, but I'm concerned with the right side. Now, that was the first question. Okay, remember my first question. Question number 1, which I asked you. If you want, you can take down the notes. Question 1, you don't have to write these questions in the answer, in your answer sheets or in your exams, but these questions will help you understand the concept. So if you want to write right now in your books, you can definitely do that. So first question you should ask yourself, whether the given number is positive or negative. So you can find its location. If it is positive, then it should be on the right side of 0. If it is negative, then it should be on the left side of 0. Okay, the second question, whether the given number is smaller than 1 or greater than 1. Whether the given number is smaller than 1 or greater than 1. How can you find whether a number is smaller than 1 or greater than 1? Look at this fraction. I'm sure you must have studied the chapter fraction in earlier classes. To determine whether the given number is smaller than 1 or greater than 1, we look at the numerator as well as denominator. If numerator is smaller than denominator, in this case it is like that, 5 is smaller than 7, then the number is smaller than 1. So if the numerator, NR means numerator, is smaller than denominator, then fraction, the given fraction, is smaller than 1. Remember this. But if numerator is greater than denominator, then the given number, the given fraction, is greater than 1. Right? In this case, 5 by 7, 5 is the numerator, 7 is the denominator, and 5 is smaller than 7. Numerator is smaller than denominator. So this number, this fraction is smaller than 1. So if it is smaller than 1, then it lies, okay, in this case, it lies between 0 and 1. It lies between 0 and 1. So if you after 0 and between 0 and 1, on the right side of the 0 on the number line, between 0 and 1, you will find your number. But where exactly? You don't know that. So let's locate our number. Now we know that it lies between 0 and 1. Our number lies between 0 and 1. But where? So the next step is, you see the denominator? I want you to make 7 divisions after 0, 7 equal divisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 7th division, I want you to write 1. Okay, on the 7th division, I want you to write 1. We know that our number lies between 0 and 1. What we have done is we are locating our number. So we have divided the space between 0 and 1 on the number line in 7 equal parts. Why 7 equal parts? Because the denominator of our number is 7. Right? Now, here you can write 2, 3, 4 and so on. Because we know that our number is not beyond 1 on the right side of 1. It is between 0 and 1. So where is the number? Now, 0, what is 0? 0 can be written as 0 by 7. 1 can be written as 7 by 7. Right? 7 by 7 is 1. So each division has its own meaning, has its own value. So what is the first division's value? 1 by 7. Then 2 by 7, 3 by 7, 4 by 7, 5 by 7, 6 by 7. You see that? You have divided that space into 7 equal parts, and each part, each section, each division has its own value. The first section being 1 by 7, then 2 by 7, then 3 by 7, 4 by 7, and here is our number, which I have shown here with red mark, that is 5 by 7. So this is how you locate a number on a number line. Okay, let's take one more example. Suppose the number was something like this. Let's say 7 by 3. Suppose the number is 7 by 3. So we'll ask this question, whether the given number is positive or negative. It is positive, so it will lie on the right side of the 0 on number line. Whether the given number is smaller than 1 or greater than 1. We'll see the numerator is greater than the denominator. If the numerator is greater than denominator, then the fraction, the number is greater than 1. Means it will lie on the right side of 1. But where exactly? That we don't know. So the next step, when your numerator is greater than denominator, the next step is to convert the fraction into mixed fraction. You know how to convert the fraction into mixed fraction? So you take 7, you divide it by 3, 3 2s are 6, 7 minus 6 is 1, and that's it. You cannot divide it further. So how to convert 7 by 3 into mixed fraction? 7 by 3, see, the denominator will be 3, the quotient will be 2, 2 3s are 6, and here I will write 1. So 2 3s are 6 plus 1 is equal to 7, right? So 7 by 3 is nothing but 2 1 by 3. Now it is very easy to locate the number. See, now I can exactly tell the number is greater than 1. I'm sure number is greater than 1. But I know now the number lies between 2 and 3. The number is between 2 and 3. Why? Because the mixed fraction of the number shows that. It is 2 1 by 3. 1 by 3 ahead of 2. Let's draw a number line. So here is my 0. This is minus 1, minus 2, no use of this. This is 1. This is 2. Okay. Now I have to be very, very careful. Okay. 2. After 2, I have to divide the number line into 3 equal parts. Why? Because my denominator is 3. So 1, 2, and 3. These are my 3 equal parts, and on the third part, I will write 3. So my number is 2 1 by 3. So this, you want me to zoom in and show you? Okay, let me zoom in and show you. Right, you can see it very clearly now on your screens. So let me just draw this. Okay, full screen with red pen. Okay, so what is this number 2 over here? Number 2 over here is, let me select a thinner thickness. Okay, number 2 is 2 0 by 3, because 0 by 3 is nothing but 0, right? So if you see this, if you convert this into improper fraction, it will give you 2 only, right? It will give you 2. So 2 0 by 3. This one, this division, the value of this division will be 2 1 by 3. the value of this division will be 2 by 3, and the value of this division will be 3 by 3, right? 3 by 3. So this is how the divisions are further bifurcated, and our number which is required to us is this. This is the number which we require, 2 1 by 3. What is 2 1 by 3? It is 7 by 3. The number required by us, 7 by 3. Right? So you can also do it in one more method. I can show you one more method for doing this. If you find this confusing, I have one more method for you. So let this be 0, -1, -2. Okay, after 0, you write 1. Okay, what is 1? If you want to ask me what is 1, 1 is 3 by 3. Then you write 2. What is 2? 2 is 6 by 3, right? And then you leave some space and then you write 3, because we know that the number lies between 2 and 3. So what is 3? 9 by 3. So between 6 by 3 and 9 by 3, what do you get? 7 by 3 and 8 by 3, right? So our required number is over here, 7 by 3. So this is how also you can do it. Both methods will give you full marks. Okay, so let's zoom out again of this mode, and we can check out one more example if possible. A negative number maybe. Okay. Great. Let's take a negative number. Why not? Because you will be facing that in your exercise, and we should do some negative numbers also. Okay, let the number be -2 by 3. Okay, now if you don't look at the minus sign, you will see that this is a proper fraction. The denominator is greater than the numerator. So this number lies between, it of course lies on the left side of the 0, but it lies between 0 and -1. So suppose this is the number line, and here is your 0, here is your 1, 2, 3. Of course we don't have any use of this, and here is 1, and then sorry, -1, -2, -3, and so on. Your number lies between 0 and -1 because it's a proper fraction. Numerator is smaller than the denominator. So how many divisions you will make here? 3. 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 divisions now, right? So this is 0 by 3, this is -1 by 3, this is -2 by 3, and this is -3 by 3. What is -3 by 3? -1. So our required number in this case, will be -2 by 3, which is over here, right? So we located -2 by 3. You get full marks. Suppose you have a number, let's say minus of 9 by 5, -9 by 5. How you will locate this? Again, it is a negative number, so it will lie on the left side of 0 on the number line. So here we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, this number, if you remove the minus sign and see, it looks like it is 9 by 5. So it is an improper fraction. So it is greater than 1, right? So let's write it like this. I can write -1 as -5 by 5. And then comes -6 by 5, -7 by 5, -8 by 5, -9 by 5, -10 by 5. What is -10 by 5? -2. So the number lies between -1 and -2, and it is right over here. We have located it, -9 by 5. The easiest way to do it, right? So I've showed you a couple of negative numbers also on how to represent it on the number line. So I hope you find this short little video useful. See, there are 4 exercises, I think. and we are going to do all the exercises, but not at once. In each video, I'm going to discuss topics based on that particular exercises. We are going to look at some solved examples, and then for me, you have to solve the exercise as your homework. So this is our pattern. This is how we teach. So all those who are new students, and in 8th standard, all are new students, they all don't know me. They've heard about banyan tree, but I'm not sure whether you're aware about how we teach and who we are, but slowly you will come to know. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like more, please let me know. I'll be happy to make more videos and cover up your syllabus ahead. I'm sure your school has covered a lot of chapters, and now I have the resources and time, so I can carry this forward. And if parents are interested, please watch this video. Parents also can watch this video and give me a feedback. How did you find it? Whether did your children understood it or not? And maybe I can guide you further that how it's going to go about in future, right? So I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye bye, see you later.